we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy, and we're back at it with our latest On Location Out West edition of our New York Metropolitan post-game show, presented by our amazing sponsors at Moo, the official trading platform of the New York Mets. They're BetUS that has you covered for all of your sports betting needs that we will get into shortly, as well as SeatGeek that you guys can utilize our promo code WARDY10 for 10% off your next ticket purchase. I first and foremost would like to apologize yet again. A second straight day where Wardy's audio sounds not great, not the worst, but I understand it's not overly ideal, as I'm currently recording live here in a hotel bathroom here at a state for each and every one of you, because the grind never stops here in the platform, even while Wardy has himself a little bit of a weekend getaway heading into the All-Star break. How we doing, all you amazing Mets fans? How are we feeling today after Juan Soto, the one and only, hit himself a big ding-dong off the waterfall to give the Mets the ultimate lead and victory here by a final score of 3-1 against the Kansas City Royals in Kansas City is what we're going to break down in this one, everybody. We're going to get into all the key takeaways, the highs, the lows, everything in between. How much I was encouraged by Frankie Montas today. How much I loved Edwin Diaz coming out in the 8th inning and the 9th. Give credit where credit's due, everybody. The same way that we are always going to give a problem to Carlos Mendoza when something goes wrong with his bullpen management is the same way that we need to appreciate him when things go right. Between not only Frankie Montas, Reed Garrett, Chris Davinsky, who has honestly been a nice little Swiss Army knife in this bullpen as of late, and Edwin Diaz there in the 8th and 9th inning, they shut down the door. The Mets won that huge stolen base call overturn on Bobby Witt towards the end of this ball game that we're going to expand on here in a second, along with breaking down everything that transpired, along with some positives and negatives heading into this ball game regarding the injury front, as well as the futures game there, where Jonathan was looking fantastic there, like the absolute dynamo of a top pitching prospect that he is. Hit that like and subscribe button as you guys first chime in. I greatly appreciate that. I did not buy this chain from Kohl's. I actually got it from my local mall a couple years ago, as a matter of fact. But folks, we do have the post-game jingle locked and loaded for you guys to do here in just a second. So I first want to see everyone chiming in live on a replay. Spam those W's, baby. A big series W deserves. We need to absolutely spam those W's here in the live chat. To our replay viewers that are watching our content and wondering why is this audio so bad, trust me, I'm usually a bit better. I'm usually mic'd up, but unfortunately, my mini mics I wasn't able to bring for the trip, and the ones that I purchased last second to hopefully make sure that I can utilize them are not the proper plug-in either. So you snooze, you lose, unfortunately, is the case of me. But I hope you guys enjoy the content as we cover the Mets every single day throughout the course of the 162 off-season, post-season, in-season, you name it. We have you covered here, the #1 Mets post-game show and Mets coverage here on YouTube for all things Mets news, rumors, rumblings, live show breakdowns, pre-recorded videos, you name it, we have you covered, everybody. But how are we feeling here on this fine evening? For me right now, it's only 4 p.m. Eastern, but I know for many of you guys right now, it's a couple hours after the fact. Maybe it's a little bit early. I'm not exactly sure what time zone you're in, but I appreciate you all taking the time to break down this ball game with your guy Wardy here. SR, thank you so much for the $5 haul, my man. SR says in the chat, hey, we get a sweep. Will you do a show wearing the bathrobe? If the Mets get a sweep tomorrow, if you really want me to wear the robe, I'll rock the robe. In case you guys are wondering what he's referring to, I'll show you guys right now. We have the robe right here as we're chilling in the hotel as we can speak. And I know a lot of you guys want Wardy to rock the robe. You guys want the little Hugh Hefner action going. You want the little pipe in the mouth. All I need is a sailor hat. For those that don't know, yes, I have dressed up as Hugh Hefner in the past for Halloween, so I'm not too foreign from that reality. And I wouldn't mind doing it again if the Mets can get this series sweep tomorrow. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But SR, thank you for that donation. Hyper Mario, how we doing? Loud, how we doing? Alvin, great member. Seamus, great member. Carla, Mike O'Brien. Sky, how we doing? Going up the list. Michael Stroh, great member. Aaron, how we doing? Truman, how are you? Michael, loud and clear. I see you and hear you loud and clear. Steve Long, great member. Happy to have you in the chat. My man Juan Diaz, great member. And moderate JTB, how we doing, everybody? Kevin Flores, Seamus as always. D-Mac, how we doing, baby? Scott Sandler in the chat. All you guys watching live on a replay, thank you guys so much as we break down this latest New York Metropolitan victory. Aaron, thank you so much. Let's see, why is he streaming from the shutter room? We're streaming from this room because I got no better room to set up for you guys when it comes to lighting as well as everything else. So make do with what we got right now. The Wi-Fi connection isn't the best in every single area of this hotel, so we got to rock with what we're working with right now, everybody. Let's get into this and let's break it down, and let's do it the only way we know how, by getting into it with the latest, the one, the only, the official WardyNYM post-game series victory edition jingle. Let's have ourselves some fun, everybody. Let's do this.
Post-game
guys, Greg and Jordan, as always, with the official WardyNYM post-game jingle. Love it or hate it, it's here to say we do that corny little dance and song after every big victory throughout the course of the 162. Also want to give a quick shout out, as always, to our amazing sponsors here that you guys know well at SeatGeek that have you covered for all of your ticketing needs, everybody. Because if you guys don't know SeatGeek, let me enlighten you real quick, because if you guys want to attend Mets games post All-Star break, and I know you want to, it's a sold-out crowd at Citi Field every single time you're there, you might as well get in on the action yourself and have some fun there with everyone else in the mother at Citi Field for the remainder of the summer heading into the fall here, everybody. And why you guys got to utilize SeatGeek is not just because they're an amazing sponsor in the platform. It's a great way to support you on the platform, the way that many of you guys have, which is why they're a channel-wide sponsor throughout the entirety of the season, thanks to you, the followers, for utilizing our promo code. But as you guys can see here, why I love SeatGeek so much is how easy it is to navigate their app and buy tickets. And they're honest. They have a grading scale of 1 to 10 and the red to green. Meaning if you buy a ticket more in the red in the 1 through 5 range, it's not a good bang for your buck. Let's be honest, you're probably overspending, and you should seek tickets in the 7 through 10 range in the green. The way that they certainly have, there is plenty of options in the SeatGeek app. So they're fair, they're honest, they're straightforward exactly in what you're getting, obviously. They're making sure that there's no hidden fees or anything that you have to worry about there. It's right up front there for you guys to see for yourself. So if you guys want to save some dough and attend Mets games, concert show tickets, comedy show tickets, again, whatever you need on the ticketing front, I highly implore you guys to head over and check out our great friends once more at SeatGeek that have you covered. Just utilize our promo code WARDY10. It's linked down below in the description, and it's hyperlinked. So if you click it right away, it'll be automatically added 10% off your next ticket purchase there and the SeatGeek app. And as always, shout out to our great friends at SeatGeek for being an amazing sponsor here on the platform. You know it's going to be a banger live show for your guy Wardy today when I accidentally have the intro running as we head back to the main slide. So that's never a bad thing. How we doing here? Scott Greenwald with the $5 holla. Scott says the following: can you think of a bigger all-star snub than Juan Soto? Oh, no. I literally ever? No, of course you can. Because in a very, very Metsian fashion, the Mets sadly have the reality that even as Juan Soto goes out and balls out the way that he did for this Mets team today, ding dong to back-to-back days, yet it does not matter, sadly. Juan Soto still is not headed to the All-Star game. Is he deserving to be in the All-Star game? Yes. Do I care about the fact that he's going to be missing out on $100,000? No, but $100,000 is still a lot of money, everybody. Even for a guy on a $765 million contract, it never hurts to make more money than less money. So when Juan Soto made that comment no later than 72 hours ago, saying, you know, how obviously he wouldn't be opposed to the money and why wouldn't he not want to go to the All-Star game, I thought it was pretty funny that the reporter even asked him, you know, is he, you know, kind of bummed, like, is he missing out? Of course he's missing out. Who doesn't want to be a part of the All-Star game, even though it's there in hot Atlanta for the Atlanta Braves? You're not going to see a lot of Atlanta Braves representation, however, because the Atlanta Braves are still currently north of, what, at least 10 games below 500 or so? I honestly don't even know the status of the Braves in the standings right now, so let's just take a quick hop to check it out, everybody. And I can't even find them. Why? Because they're nowhere to be seen. That's why. The New York Mets right now are second there in the wild card at 55-41, just trailing the Milwaukee Brewers at 55-40 there for the first wild card spot so far this year. The San Diego Padres are at 51-43, as you guys see there. The San Francisco Giants at 52-44, and the 50-46 Cardinals somehow, somewhere, just a couple of games out. The Cincinnati Reds and the Arizona Diamondbacks have yet to figure out if they're buying or selling. What are those schmucks doing? But either way, we got a 49-47 Reds. We got a 46-49 Arizona Diamondbacks. Feed me a Zach Gallen, never opposed to the New Jersey native, having a change of scenery and dominating potentially here in the second half, everybody. But that is what you get in the standings. That is what you got from the Mets offense, from how this ball game ended. Lineup-wise, I liked what I saw from Acuna once he came in this ball game as well. Pitching-wise, this is how the boys looked. We're going to break down more on Frankie Montas and Wardy's final line grade for him here shortly, but I'll tell you this much. Frankie Montas going 5 strong innings, just allowing 1 earned run, 0 walks. We're taking that every single day of the week and on Sundays, or in the case of today here, this fine Saturday. So shout out to not only Montas for getting the job done, but this bullpen being nothing short of absolutely nails. And I will say it, we all know it. It's against a lesser Royals lineup. The Mets absolutely need to take the 2 games out of this one. Hopefully they can get the series sweep tomorrow. That would be ideal. But listen, with the exception of Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, Cole Reagans, when they're at their best in this rotation, the Royals have a top-heavy, absolutely top-heavy lineup, headlined by Bobby Witt Jr. You're going to get some booms and blasts from guys like Vinny Pasquantino, Jack Caglione obviously still trying to get acclimated as a young, very exciting player. Salvador Perez can obviously still drive him out of the ballpark, and Miguel Garcia can do his job as well, but there isn't nearly enough depth or quality in that lineup for the Royals, which is exactly why it should not be overly shocking if we see a team like the Royals find themselves as more sellers than buyers by this year's deadline. And should that be the case, everybody, do not be shocked if you see the rumblings continue with the Mets being connected to the veteran right-hander in Seth Lugo. And no, I'm not just saying that because Lugo's a former New York Met. I'm saying that because of the reality of the circumstance of the Mets for certain going to add a starter by the deadline, and how much Seth Lugo does check off an immediate box for them should the mutual interest be there. Now, on the pitching front, everybody, we do have one negative to get into before we kind of break this one all down, and that is regarding the oh-so-coveted Winnaz best Danil Nunez, as Danil Nunez sadly officially went down with his second Tommy John surgery over the past 4 years. This is Nunez's second Tommy John. The first one he sustained was back in 2021. Nunez, who was absolutely nails for the Mets that we saw last year in the first half of the season lead up to his injury, this year had a long spring training. The walk rates were through the roof. That's why he stayed in the minor leagues the first month. Comes up, he's still kind of walking everybody in the mother, gets sent back down, then comes up, has his best outing yet, and he feels that elbow's barking, not looking good, and he needs Tommy John, everybody. So I'm wishing Danil Nunez a very speedy recovery. The Mets lose another key piece of their bullpen that honestly we had heading into the season as a valid option to say, hey, Danil Nunez might be a lethal option for this Mets bullpen, but unfortunately it's not going to be the case, at least right here, right now. So again, my apologies, folks, as you guys chime in live on a replay. If you're wondering, Wardy, why are you doing this right now with the audio all echoey? I do sincerely apologize about that, but please know how much I appreciate every single one of you guys for chiming in and listening and hearing your guy Wardy out regardless of the circumstance that we're rolling with today. As we hop now into this one, let's get back here to the main slide and let's get into breaking down this New York Metropolitan victory here, everybody. How did we get here? Well, how we got here, as many of you guys saw that happen the same exact time right around this ball game, we had the MLB Futures game today as well. And in case you guys did not see what happened in the MLB Futures game, Jonathan is what happened in the MLB Futures game. Jonathan was absolutely jaw-droppingly good that we saw in the Futures game today. Cannot complain about that at all. He threw 19 pitches, 11 of them were strikes, and he had himself a nasty, nasty, nasty strike out there in the breaking ball curveball, and he was touching 97 there on the gun. And I'm going to show you guys actually the highlights right now with Jonathan on my phone so you guys can see. Again, Kiddo was an absolute stud today. Just look at the nasty break on that. That's not even fair. Like, you could be the top prospect in baseball, and you're going to swing and miss through that thing because that's disgustingly good. The drop, the break, inside dirty there on a top prospect there, you absolutely love to see. So shout out to Jonathan, who had that fastball working, touching 97 on the gun today. The breaking ball working big time. Jonathan and Carson Benj were the Mets representatives that we saw for the MLB Futures game today there, based out of the National League. Never going to complain about that. And the only thing I have to complain about in the same sentence as Jonathan is a following. And Eddie, I'm blinking 3 times. Don't worry, we're okay. The big thing I got to say about Jonathan is that we're just waiting to find out what is next for Jonathan, right? Jonah is one of these guys that's dominated the minor league level in AA. He has a 1.83 ERA so far in AA this year. How much longer does Buddy need to be stored with the Rebel Ponies before getting considered for Syracuse, if not getting considered right up the jump there to the bigs? Because one thing we cannot forget with Jonathan is that Jonathan is Rule 5 eligible this year, everybody. What that means is that if the Mets do not activate this man on the 40-man at some point this year, he's Rule 5 eligible, and unless they find a way to protect him, and that's certainly not ideal. So we're going to see if Todd does in fact crack this 40-man at some point here before the year ends, if he impacts the Mets if at all. Noah McLean just had 10 punchies his last outing. Brandon Sproul had right around the same thing. Both of them are absolutely dominating in Syracuse right now. All the more reason to say we should consider one of these kiddos and we should bring them up to the major league level sooner rather than later. Not that you need to rush them, but just because they're pitching so damn good, you kind of need to warrant it, everybody. The same way that we have to warrant Sean Manaea, the Samoan Southpaw, finally coming back from injury there tomorrow for the series finale. Manaea is going to piggyback after Clay Holmes starts tomorrow's ball game throughout the first however many innings it's going to be. We will see how Clay does. And I think that piggyback mentality is something that we could see a little bit more of heading into the second half in the early goings, not only for Sean Manaea to get further stretched out, but Clay Holmes is on a pitch limit to a degree, and we're not exactly sure if he's going to go beyond, say, 5 innings for you on any given day. So for all those reasons, I like Clay Holmes and Sean Manaea going back-to-back with each other there tomorrow that we're going to find themselves seeing. And I also really like, everybody, that Edwin Diaz, you know how he absolutely shut down the door today, guys? Edwin Diaz, just listen to this. He has allowed just one measly earned run since April 22nd. Listen to the following numbers of Edwin Diaz, everybody, just in case you're wondering how fantastic Edwin has been. Since then, 28.1 innings, 13 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned run, 7 walks, a whopping 40 strikeouts, and 13 saves over that span. Yeah, I'm going to go on a limb and say what we all know very well. Edwin Diaz is without question one of the best closers in all the game this season, if not the entire best at least, out of the National League. The guy has been an absolute horse. And you know who's also been an absolute horse when it comes to the speed demon? That is Mr. Francisco Lindor, which is a perfect transition, everybody. And is shouting out briefly our other amazing sponsor at BetUS that has you covered for all of your sports betting needs. Guys and gals, make sure you bet responsibly. Should you dabble, should you have interest, whether it's for sports betting or for the casino, BetUS has you covered. Simply head over to betus.com.pa today and utilize your promo code YouTube150 because you will then get a 150% bonus on your first deposit, everybody. Juan Diaz, great member of 53 months, finally healthy. Mets should be prime time. You said it, baby. We're going to talk more about this amazing victory and series victory here in just a second. But as you guys see beside me, Francisco Lindor there, plus 875 there on the stolen bags. And well, lo and behold, what happens? We see him steal a bag. Francisco Lindor is now up to 20 stolen bags on the season, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, however. I actually think I might be wrong. It was either 20 or it was just like 200 total over a span. We're going to go and double check. Actually, I'm going to tell you right now just to make sure that I don't say this wrongly. Francisco Lindor stolen base. Let's go ahead and double check this right now, everybody. There we go. Okay, it's not 20. My apologies. That's why you see the graphics say otherwise there. Lindor, with the stolen bag that he stole today, however, was Mr. 200 for Mr. Smile. So congratulations to Francisco Lindor, another fantastic accolade. So if you guys want to sprinkle some bias bet dollars here with our great friends at BetUS for Mets-related props picks like this, head over again at betus.com.pa today and shout out to them for being an amazing sponsor on the platform. But without further ado, everybody, let's talk about this ball game and let's talk about how we got here. How the Mets go on to win this series in the fashion that they did today in this one. And they did it in a brilliant way, and that was by favoring their pitching first and doing just what they need to enough on the offensive end. I'm not ever expecting the Mets to go out after you know what much later night game the night before to then a day game the next game and have the same amount of success. But the fact that the Mets were able to win the first 2 games of the series instead of putting themselves in a hole where you have the rubber match for the series finale right before the All-Star break, what do you know, that could easily be a trap game on the road, everybody. That is where the Mets now find themselves in great position. Let's see, Wardy recording this episode with a wooden microphone. Whatever it takes, Walter, we just got to make it work. And I've never heard of a wooden microphone before, but I'm going to go on a limb and say that's probably not the most ideal thing. And I know it's not ideal, but I got to make content for you guys. So love it or hate it, we're here to say. But as we get into this one, everybody, in the first inning, we would see Brandon Nimmo kickstart the inning by striking out right away. Then Lindor and Soto promptly go down in order from there. At the bottom of the first, we see towing the rubber for the New York Mets is veteran right-hander and Frankie Montas. And how does Montas perform today, everybody? Let's get right into it. As we see there, Jonathan India doubles there, his 20th double season. And can we stop allowing the diehard Mets fan growing up, Jonathan India, to torch the Mets every single time he plays them? For those that don't remember, when Jonathan India made his Citi Field debut against the Mets in 2021, it was the same series that Cookie Carrasco and Javi Baez, if I'm not mistaken, were making their Mets debuts there for the Mets as well that season, or at least were having an impact. Maybe Cookie was coming back from injury, and I know Baez was in there. The Mets lost that series against the Reds, if I'm not mistaken, and Jonathan India had multiple home runs in the ballpark that he grew up idolizing there as a diehard Mets fan. Yesterday, India led off the ball game there with a single. Mind you, India has not had a good year for the Kansas City Royals. So that was more where the frustration kicked in with the Mets not getting him out right away. And then he leads this puppy off with a double today. So Frankie Montas is initially looking like batting practice early, but thankfully, everybody, and this is important, thankfully, that will now hold true for the entirety of the ball game. Because after that double, we would see Bobby Witt Jr. pop out right away, and then Vinny Pasquantino strikes out, and that does it there for the inning. The Mets get through one without a problem. Shout out Frankie Montas for rearing back and keeping Jonathan India stranded there in scoring position right away. In the second inning, everybody, we would see the polar bear ground out right away. Marky V flying out and Jeff McNeil getting nothing done as he strikes out, which then gets us to the bottom of that same inning. And the bottom of the second, we see Frankie Montas with his first 1-2-3 inning of the ball game, including a fantastic player that we saw brought by Brett Beatty there. Huge play to dive out to get the throw there to Alonso and Jack Concaglione for the second out of the inning. Love me some Brett Hitman, more like Brett Defensive Masterclass is what you get whether he's at second, third, wherever Brett Beatty is. You know that strong defense is going to come along with it. After Nick Lofton struck out to end the inning, we head to the third. We're in the third, everybody, with 2 outs after Bobby Wood Jr. made a fantastic play at short there to get Brett Beatty out there for the second out of the inning. After Beatty again robs a hit, he kind of gets robbed as well thanks to some great plays by Bobby Wood there in that infield. However, with 2 outs, Luis Torres rips himself his 10th double of the season, everybody, and that would have a runner in scoring position with 2 away for Brandon Nimmo. What does Brandon Nimmo do? Unfortunately, Nimmo would strike out swinging. As we get to the bottom of that same inning, another 1-2-3 here for Frankie Montas as he strikes out there at the bottom of the order and Kyle Isbell, and then the top of the order and Jonathan India to get us through 3. In the fourth, Francisco